Heracles' birth and youth. In the days of antiquity, there lived a man of remarkable lineage. Born to Alcmene, the wife of Amphitryon, and sired by none other than Zeus, the king of the gods himself, Heracles was destined for greatness. His bloodline traced back to Perseus, the legendary hero who had walked the earth in ages past. The tale of Heracles began within the grand walls of Thebes, where Alcmene resided with her husband Amphitryon. It was in this city that the child was born, within the very palace of his stepfather, Amphitryon. But Heracles was no ordinary child, for even in his infancy, he was marked by the looming shadow of Hera's wrath. Hera held an unrelenting grudge against those who dared to rival her husband Zeus's affections. Alcmene, ever watchful of this vengeful deity, decided to protect her innocent child from Hera's wrath. She entrusted the infant Heracles to a loyal servant, with strict instructions to abandon him in a field. She held the belief that the divine lineage of Zeus would not be forsaken by the gods for long. It was by fate's hand that Hera and Pallas Athene happened to pass by that very field. The cries of the exposed child reached their ears, and their hearts were moved with pity. Athene, her maternal instincts awakened, took the infant in her arms and persuaded Hera to offer the child her breast. However, Heracles' divine strength caused Hera great pain, and in her anger, she flung the child to the ground, leaving him behind. Athene, driven by compassion, took the abandoned baby to Alcmene, pleading for her help. Alcmene, at once, recognized her son and took him into her embrace with joy. Hera, in her relentless jealousy, later discovered her mistake. Consumed by rage, she devised a wicked plan. She sent 2 venomous snakes into Heracles' chamber, hoping to end the child's life. The serpents slithered, unnoticed, to the cradle where the young hero slept. Startled by their presence, Heracles awoke and, with superhuman strength, strangled both snakes with his bare hands. Alcmene and her attendants rushed to the scene, finding the lifeless reptiles in the grasp of the infant Heracles. Amphitryon, drawn to the commotion, witnessed this incredible display of strength. He believed that the child must be a gift from Zeus, destined for greatness. Seeking guidance, Amphitryon consulted the venerable seer Tiresias, who revealed Heracles' divine parentage and prophesied a bright future for the young hero. Determined to prepare Heracles for his remarkable destiny, Amphitryon arranged for the finest tutors. He himself taught the young hero charioteering, while Eurytus trained him in archery. Autolycus instructed him in the arts of wrestling and boxing, and Castor taught him the ways of armed warfare. Linus, the son of Apollo, shared the secrets of music and letters with the budding hero. Heracles proved a gifted and diligent student, but his fiery temper would not be tamed. One day, an impatient Linus resorted to blows to correct him. Enraged, Heracles seized his lyre and, with a single, fatal blow, ended his tutor's life. Fearing further acts of violence, Amphitryon sent Heracles to the countryside, under the care of a trusted herdsman. It was here, amidst nature's grandeur, that Heracles blossomed into manhood. His stature and strength grew to astounding levels, becoming the talk of the land. His skill with spear, lance, and bow was unmatched, and by the age of 18, he was renowned as not only the strongest but also the most handsome youth in all of Greece. The choice of Heracles. The moment of decision had arrived for Heracles. Gifted with extraordinary powers by the divine hands of the gods, he felt the need to chart his own course. To ponder this crucial matter, he retreated into the heart of a solitary forest, far away from the clamor of the world. Amidst the tranquil wilderness, 2 beguiling figures emerged, both endowed with beauty. One was Vice, her allure enhanced by artificial wiles, adorned in gaudy attire and a painted visage. The other was Virtue, noble in demeanor, her robes radiant in spotless purity. Vice stepped forth, her words laced with cunning charm. "Choose my path," she whispered, "and I shall be your companion. You shall bask in the unending pleasures and delights this world has to offer. The finest feasts, the most exquisite wines, and the most luxurious of resting places shall be yours without effort, be it physical or mental." Now, Virtue spoke her piece, her voice resonating with wisdom. "If you embrace me and make me your ally," she said, "you shall reap the rewards of a pure conscience and the respect and love of your fellow mortals. But, be aware, my path is not paved with roses, nor will I grant you a life of indolence and leisure. The gods grant no blessings that come without labor, and as you sow, so shall you reap." Heracles lent a patient ear to both voices, carefully considering their counsel. After deep reflection, he chose to walk the path of virtue. Henceforth, he resolved to honor the gods and dedicate his life to the service of his homeland. Carrying his newfound resolve, he returned to his rustic abode. However, as he made his way back, he encountered the heralds of Erginus, the king of the Minions, en route to Thebes to demand the annual tribute of 100 oxen. Filled with indignation at the humiliation of his city, Heracles took drastic action. He mutilated the heralds and sent them back to their ruler with ropes tied around their necks. Erginus, furious at this affront, gathered an army and laid siege to the gates of Thebes, demanding the surrender of Heracles. Creon, who reigned as king of Thebes at that time, feared the consequences of refusal and was on the verge of yielding. However, Heracles, aided by Amphitryon and a band of valiant youths, confronted the Minions. Taking control of a narrow pass, Heracles positioned his forces to intercept the enemy. As the Minions entered the defile, the Thebans fell upon them, vanquishing King Erginus and scattering his troops. It was in this fierce battle that Amphitryon, Heracles' kind-hearted friend and foster father, met his tragic end. With victory in hand, Heracles pressed forward to the capital of the Minions. There, he set fire to the royal castle and looted the town. News of the young hero's triumph spread like wildfire throughout all of Greece. In gratitude for his remarkable deeds, Creon offered him the hand of his daughter Megara in marriage. The Olympian gods, too, showed their appreciation for Heracles' valor, gifting him with tokens of their favor. Hermes presented him a sword, Apollo arrows, Hephaestus a golden quiver, and Athena a leather cape. Heracles and Eurystheus. Just before Heracles' birth, the fate of the hero was intricately woven into the threads of divine proclamations. In an assembly of the gods, Zeus, the king of the Olympians, boldly declared that the child born on that day to the lineage of Perseus would one day reign over all his kin. Hera, Zeus's queen and a formidable rival of Alcmene, perceived the true intention of this grand destiny. It was meant for the offspring of her rival. She enlisted the goddess Eileithyia, who delayed Heracles' birth, allowing his cousin Eurystheus, another grandson of Perseus, to enter the world first. Thus, by Zeus's unalterable decree, Heracles was destined to be a subject and servant to his cousin Eurystheus. As Heracles' fame rippled across Greece, thanks to his victorious triumph over Erginus, Eurystheus, now the king of Mycenae, grew envious of the young hero's reputation. He asserted his rights and commanded Heracles to undertake a series of daunting tasks on his behalf. However, the prideful spirit of Heracles bristled against this humiliation, and he merely refused to comply. But then, Zeus himself appeared to him, urging him not to defy the fates. Resolving to abide by destiny's course, Heracles sought guidance at Delphi, consulting the oracle for answers. The oracle's response was clear: Heracles must complete 10 tasks for Eurystheus, and only then would his servitude come to an end. Not long after this revelation, Heracles fell into the depths of despair, consumed by melancholy. Under the insidious influence of his implacable foe, Hera, his despondency spiraled into a frenzied madness. In this deranged state, he committed a harrowing act, taking the lives of his own children. When clarity returned to him, he was overwhelmed by remorse and grief. He withdrew from society, locking himself in seclusion, shunning all human contact. Yet, in the solitude of his confinement, Heracles came to realize that perhaps it was work that could help him escape the haunting specter of his past. Driven by this conviction, and urged by the tasks assigned by Eurystheus, he made the solemn decision to embark on the arduous trials laid out before him. In days of his life, the mighty hero Hercules found himself ensnared in a web of tragedy and divine wrath. The vengeful goddess Hera, harboring a burning desire to bring ruin upon Hercules, devised a malevolent plan. She cast a dark enchantment upon him. clouding his once clear and noble mind, plunging him into a tormenting madness. In his maddened frenzy, Hercules committed a heinous act that would haunt him for eternity. He unknowingly took the lives of his beloved wife and children, his own flesh and blood. The moment his sanity returned, the weight of his unspeakable deed bore down upon him like an unbearable burden. Desperate for guidance and redemption, Hercules beseeched the god Apollo for help. Apollo, the radiant deity of prophecy, guided him to seek the wisdom of the oracle. The oracle's voice echoed the chilling decree of fate: Hercules must serve Eurystheus, the formidable king of Tiryns and Mycenae, for a grueling 12 years as punishment for the gruesome murders he had committed. And so began Hercules' journey of redemption, a path paved with trials that would test the very limits of moral strength. These trials were known as the 12 labors, seemingly insurmountable feats that stood as his penance. The first task assigned to Hercules by the wary Eurystheus was to vanquish the Nemean lion, a fearsome creature born of the monstrous Typhoeus. This lion, unlike any ordinary beast, possessed hide impenetrable by arrows or mortal weapons. Undaunted by the impossibility of his task, Hercules set forth to confront the creature. With unwavering determination, he tracked the Nemean lion to its lair, sealing the entrance to prevent its escape. His arrows proved useless, harmlessly bouncing off the lion's impenetrable hide. Hercules, recognizing that brute force was his only ally, grappled with the beast in a ferocious battle. His mighty hands closed around the lion's throat, extinguishing its life. With the lifeless carcass of the lion as his trophy, Hercules returned to Tiryns. Eurystheus, astonished by Hercules' survival, watched in trepidation as the hero draped himself in the lion's pelt, its fearsome head transformed into a menacing helmet. But the king's unease would only grow as Hercules' legend continued to unfold. For the second labor, Eurystheus ordered Hercules to confront the Hydra, a nightmarish creature with multiple venomous heads, dwelling in the dismal swamps near Lerna. Undeterred, Hercules ventured into the Hydra's lair, determined to face this grotesque monstrosity. Hercules attacked, wielding his sword to sever one of the Hydra's malevolent heads. To his dismay, for each head that fell, 2 more sprouted in its place, an insidious regeneration. Realization dawned upon him that conventional methods would not suffice. Desperate, he called upon his loyal charioteer, Iolaus, to fetch a burning brand. With fire as their ally, Hercules and Iolaus cauterized the necks of the Hydra after each decapitation, preventing new heads from emerging. Tirelessly, they fought on, head by head, until only one remained, an immortal head that could not be vanquished. Resigned to this, Hercules buried it beneath a colossal stone, sealing its malevolence forever. Yet, a sinister twist awaited him. The Hydra's blood was a potent poison, and Hercules, seeking to harness its deadly power, dipped his arrows into the venomous substance. Little did he know that this choice would bring sorrow and remorse in the future. Hercules' quest for redemption had only just begun, and the weight of his past sins hung heavy upon him. The trials ahead promised to test his strength, character, and resilience as he sought to earn forgiveness in the eyes of gods and mortals alike. As the sun continued its timeless journey across the heavens, the burdensome tasks laid upon Hercules by King Eurystheus showed no signs of relenting. The third labor was a mission entwined with grace and swiftness, for it entailed capturing the Cernician hind, a radiant deer with golden horns, sacred to the huntress goddess Artemis. Hercules embarked on a year-long quest to chase the elusive creature through the untamed forests of the Peloponnese. This magnificent hind was renowned as the swiftest deer in the world, a true testament to its divine nature. Patiently, Hercules shadowed its every move, a relentless tracker in pursuit of a living symbol of grace. It was in the tranquil woods of Arcadia that Hercules finally found his opportunity. The Cernician hind, weary from its endless flight, had paused for a brief respite, unaware of the hero's approach. With the heart of a hunter and the agility of a predator, Hercules seized his moment, surprising the sacred deer and gently ensnaring it, ensuring no harm befell the creature. But as fate would have it, his triumph led him to an unexpected encounter. Apollo and Artemis, the twin deities of the hunt, crossed his path during their own pursuit of prey. Artemis, the guardian of the hind, was initially vexed to find her cherished creature in captivity. However, upon hearing Hercules' tale and recognizing his noble intent, she granted him permission to take the deer, with the condition that it would remain unharmed and be released once his task was completed. With Artemis's blessing, Hercules set the Cernician hind free, its golden antlers glistening in the dappled sunlight. His sense of duty carried him ever forward, for Eurystheus' commands were relentless. Next on his daunting list of trials was the capture of the Erymanthian boar, a monstrous beast that had been wreaking havoc upon the fertile lands surrounding Mount Erymanthus. As Hercules ventured towards the wild terrain where the fearsome boar roamed, he had an unexpected encounter with Pholus, a centaur of remarkable manners and courtesy. Pholus, unlike his unruly centaur brethren, extended his hospitality to Hercules, sharing wine from a precious stash. Yet, the scent of this wine reached the noses of other centaurs, notorious for their love of spirits but cursed with an inability to handle their intoxicating effects. Driven to madness, they descended upon Hercules and Pholus, thirsting for the wine. In the chaotic melee that ensued, Pholus inadvertently dropped one of Hercules' poison arrows upon his own foot. The venomous Hydra's toxins surged through his body, inflicting unbearable agony, and soon, Pholus succumbed to a painful death. Hercules pressed on in pursuit of the Erymanthian boar. With cunning strategy, he herded the rampaging beast into the treacherous embrace of deep snow, trapping it in its tracks. Bound and captured, the boar became the latest addition to Hercules' growing list of feats. Returning to the court of Eurystheus with the ferocious boar in tow, Hercules once again witnessed the king's cowardice. Eurystheus, gripped by fear, hid within a massive storage jar, peering out just enough to confirm the completion of the labor. With each task accomplished, Hercules' legend grew, yet the trials continued to push him to the limits of his endurance. The next labor that lay ahead was a task of filth and muck, one that would test not only his strength but also his cleverness and resourcefulness. Cleansing the Augean stables in a single day was the challenge that awaited him. He accomplished this by diverting the rivers Alpheus and Peneus through the stables. As the heroic journey of Hercules continued, his valor was put to the test in a relentless succession of tasks. The following labor assigned to him was to clear the skies over Lake Stymphalus of a menacing flock of Stymphalian birds, creatures that fed upon the flesh of men. The marshy shores of Lake Stymphalus had become a haven for these voracious beasts. With his wits as sharp as his mighty muscles, Hercules hatched a plan to rid the land of these foul creatures. To create a cacophony that would send the birds fleeing, he clashed his shields together, unleashing a thunderous clamor that echoed through the valley. The startled birds took flight, their wings slicing through the air. Hercules, a marksman without equal, drew his deadly arrows and picked off the winged predators one by one, sending them plummeting to their demise. The skies were once again safe, and the lake's tranquil waters reflected the triumphant hero's gaze. His next labor led him to the capture of the Cretan bull, a creature of great power and lineage. This bull, a father to the infamous Minotaur, had been terrorizing the lands around Crete. Hercules skillfully trapped the beast and led it back to Tiryns, where King Eurystheus recoiled at the sight of the fearsome creature. The bull, having served its purpose, was released and roamed northward, ultimately meeting its fate at the hands of the heroic Theseus in the labyrinthine depths of the Minotaur's lair. The eighth labor took Hercules to the land of Thracia, where the ruthless King Diomedes held dominion over man-eating mares gifted to him by the god of war, Ares. In this perilous endeavor, Hercules found an ally in his beloved Abderus. Together, they stealthily infiltrated the stables of Diomedes, seized the deadly mares, and drove them toward the seashore. With Diomedes' enraged henchmen hot on their heels, Hercules entrusted Abderus with the care of the mares and turned to confront the pursuers. In the ensuing battle, he vanquished Diomedes and routed his men, but tragedy struck in the interim. Returning to the mares, Hercules discovered that they had turned upon his dear friend Abderus, tearing him apart. The hero's heart was heavy with grief as he laid Abderus to rest, paying homage to his fallen companion. The mares, though perilous, were subdued once more and corralled onto his ship, bound for Tiryns. However, Eurystheus, unwilling to have such monstrous creatures within his city, decreed their release. In the wilds of Mount Olympus, they met their end at the jaws of other savage beasts. The following labor led Hercules to the land of fierce Amazon warriors, ruled by the resolute Queen Hippolyte. With his steadfast friend Theseus at his side, he embarked on a journey to Themyscira, located along the southern coast of the Black Sea. Queen Hippolyte, impressed by Hercules' noble intent, agreed to part with her prized possession, a belt of great significance, without a struggle. Yet, the meddling hand of Hera, ever envious and vindictive, cast its shadow over the labor. Disguised as an Amazon, the goddess sowed seeds of distrust among the Amazon warriors, claiming that Hercules sought to kidnap their queen. Incited by Hera's deception, the Amazons prepared to wage battle against the heroes. Frustrated and angered by the turn of events, Hercules seized Hippolyte and her precious belt and withdrew, leaving a cloud of dust in their wake. It was a labor fraught with tension and strife. As the heroes departed with their prize, their path fraught with the ever-watchful gaze of the goddess Hera. As Hercules neared the end of his monumental trials, he faced a quest to steal the cattle of the formidable Geryon, the king of Erythea. Geryon was a being of monstrous proportions, possessing 3 heads, 3 upper bodies, and an astonishing array of 6 arms and 6 legs. Protecting his precious herd was the 2-headed hound Orthus, a fearsome guardian. To reach Geryon's distant lands in Erythea, Hercules embarked on an arduous journey that took him through the vast expanse of Africa. As he crossed the legendary Strait of Gibraltar, he left behind massive stones, known as the Pillars of Heracles, as a testament to the extent of his travels across the known world. Under the relentless African sun, Hercules, growing annoyed by its unrelenting heat, aimed his bow at the sun itself, as if chastising it for its scorching rays. Helios, the god of the sun, found amusement in the hero's audacity and, as a gesture of goodwill, lent his golden cup to Hercules, transforming it into a makeshift boat that would carry him to Erythea. Upon reaching his destination, Hercules engaged Geryon and his faithful guardian Orthus in a fierce battle. With his unparalleled strength, Hercules overcame the monstrous king and his loyal hound, securing the prized cattle. Now on the brink of completing his labors, Hercules faced his penultimate challenge, the retrieval of the golden apples of the Hesperides. These sacred fruits grew in a garden tended by the nymphs known as the Hesperides, nestled in Libya near the towering peaks where Atlas bore the weight of the world on his shoulders. During his journey to the garden, Hercules happened upon the perilous Caucasus Mountains, where Prometheus, the chained titan, had long suffered the torment of an eagle gnawing at his liver. In an act of mercy, Hercules slew the tormentor and set Prometheus free. Grateful for his liberation, Prometheus offered Hercules valuable advice on acquiring the coveted apples. He instructed the hero to seek Atlas, the titan who supported the heavens, and ask him to retrieve the apples while Hercules temporarily shouldered the burden of the world. Heeding Prometheus' counsel, Hercules met with Atlas and made a pact. Atlas, eager to be free of his eternal duty, agreed to retrieve the apples but had no intention of returning. As he returned with the precious fruit, Hercules pretended to agree to Atlas's plan, asking the Titan to hold the celestial globe briefly while he fashioned a cushion to ease the weight. Atlas, unknowingly ensnared in his own deceit, took the heavens upon his massive shoulders once more. Hercules seized the golden apples and departed, leaving Atlas to his fate. Returning to Tiryns, Hercules presented the apples to Eurystheus, only to hand them over to Athena, who, in her wisdom, returned them to the Hesperides. With his labors nearly at an end, Hercules faced his ultimate trial, retrieving Cerberus, the 3-headed guardian of the underworld, from Hades himself. Guided by the messenger of the gods, Hermes, Hercules descended into the realm of shadows, where he encountered his dear friends, Theseus and Perithous, forever bound to their chairs as punishment. Though he managed to free Theseus, a sudden quake in the earth deterred him from liberating Perithous. Hades insisted that his judgment be upheld, and Perithous remained in his dreary captivity. Seeking an audience with Hades in his dark palace, Hercules implored the ruler of the underworld for permission to take Cerberus with him. Promising not to harm the formidable hound, he seized the 3-headed guardian and, with relentless determination, dragged him all the way to Tiryns. Eurystheus, gripped by fear, hid at the sight of Cerberus and commanded Hercules to return the infernal creature to Hades. Without hesitation, Hercules obeyed. With his 12 labors completed, the hero stood at the threshold of a new beginning, free to chart his destiny and embark on new adventures as his own master. Heracles and Deianira. Heracles, having accomplished many feats, ventured to the city of Calydon, where he found his heart captivated by the beauty of Deianira, the daughter of Oeneus, the king of Aetolia. However, a formidable rival emerged in the form of Hercules, the river god. To settle their claims for Deianira's hand, they agreed to a duel. Hercules, confident in his power to change his shape at will, believed he would triumph. But Heracles, undaunted, confronted his rival. In the heat of the battle, Hercules transformed into a bull, but Heracles proved mightier, snapping off one of the river god's horns, forcing him to concede defeat. After this victory, Heracles and Deianira spent 3 joyful years together. Yet, their happiness was marred by an unfortunate accident. During a banquet hosted by Oeneus, Heracles accidentally struck a young nobleman serving the guests, leading to his untimely death. The youth's father, who had witnessed the tragic event, recognized that it was a tragic accident and forgave Heracles. However, the hero, resolved to follow the laws of the land, chose to exile himself from the kingdom. He bade farewell to his father-in-law and set out for Trachin, accompanied by Deianira and their young son, Hylas. During their journey, they reached the Evenus River, which was often crossed with the help of the centaur Nessus, who offered his services to travelers for a fee. Heracles, carrying his son in his arms, decided to ford the river without assistance, leaving his wife in the care of the centaur. Nessus, captivated by Deianira's beauty, attempted to abduct her. Her cries reached Heracles, and without hesitation, he shot Nessus through the heart with one of his poisonous arrows. In his dying moments, the vengeful centaur, seeking to harm Heracles, called Deianira to his side. He advised her to collect some of his blood, assuring her that it would act as a charm to preserve her husband's love and protect her from potential rivals. Heracles and Deianira continued their journey, encountering various adventures along the way until they finally reached their intended destination. The tragic end of Heracles. Heracles, the mighty hero, embarked on his final quest, one born of vengeance. His target was Eurytus, the king of Oechalia, and his sons, who had wronged him by refusing to grant him the hand of Iole, a maiden he had rightfully won. Gathering a formidable army, Heracles set his sights on Oechalia. His campaign was a success as he stormed the citadel, vanquished the king and his 3 sons, reduced the town to ashes, and took the beautiful Iole as his captive. Upon his victorious return, Heracles took a pause to offer a sacrifice to Zeus. He sent word to his wife, Deianira, in Trachin to fetch a sacrificial robe. But Deianira, hearing that the alluring Iole was with her husband, feared the maiden's youth and beauty might win his heart over her. Recalling the centaur's advice from his dying moments, she decided to test the love charm he had given her. Deianira carefully retrieved the vial she had safeguarded and used it to anoint the robe before sending it to Heracles. The hero donned the robe, intending to perform the sacrifice, but as the flames rose from the altar, they heated the poison on the robe. The deadly venom seeped into every fiber of his being. In agonizing torment, Heracles struggled to remove the robe, but it clung to his skin, multiplying his suffering. In this dreadful state, he was brought to Trachin, where Deianira, overwhelmed by grief and remorse for her unwitting role in his torment, took her own life in despair. Heracles, on the brink of death, called his son Hylas to his side. He beseeched him to marry Iole. Then, he ordered his followers to construct a funeral pyre, upon which he climbed. He implored those around him to set the pyre ablaze, to end his unbearable agony. Yet, none had the courage to obey his plea, until his loyal friend and companion, Philoctetes, finally gave in to his heart-rending request. He ignited the pyre and, in return, received Heracles' legendary bow and arrows. As the flames consumed the hero, a divine spectacle unfolded. Amidst vivid lightning flashes and thunderous peals, Pallas Athene descended from the heavens in a cloud. She carried Heracles in her chariot to the realm of Olympus, where he was welcomed among the immortals. Hera, signifying her reconciliation, bestowed upon him the hand of her daughter Hebe, the goddess of eternal youth. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more. Have a beautiful day and thank you for stopping by.